What follows is a story based of true events. Here is the legacy known as A Cosmic Connection, the Hank Bruster story. This is a Taimation production. Events occurred in 1952. The night sky over the remote New Mexico desert was awash with stars, clear and vivid without the light of the moon. Hank Bruster slowly herded his cattle across the lonely sagebrush plains beneath those glittering constellations. The only sounds were the gentle mooing of the cows and the whisper of wind through the scrub. Suddenly, a thunderous roar shattered the stillness. Hank watched open-mouthed as a blazing fireball streaked overhead, growing larger and lower until a deafening crash exploded across the desert. He spurred his horse towards the billowing smoke on the distant horizon, leaving his cattle behind. As Hank drew closer, the acrid smell of scorched metal filled the air. He crested a rise and saw an immense crater yawning before him, its edges still glowing molten. In the center lay an oval craft, gleaming silver despite the flames licking its surface. The hull seemed carved from a single piece of polished metal, devoid of any markings or features beyond its sleek shape. Hank dismounted cautiously, compelled by some primal urge to make contact. The ship's surface was frictionless under his weathered fingers, the metal cooler than it appeared. This was clearly no experimental aircraft or missile. It was utterly alien. Before he could explore further, headlights crested a far ridge, military vehicles converging on the site. Soldiers poured out, cutting off Hank's access as they established a perimeter around the craft. He could only watch helplessly as a recovery team arrived in hazmat suits to disassemble the wreckage. Despite their clinical focus, Hank glimpsed the strange occupants, their child-sized bodies and oversized craniums so reminiscent of the human form. In the coming days, Hank found himself detained at a military base, interrogated about that incredible night. Stern officials impressed upon him that anything he'd witnessed was now classified. Though desperate for answers, he had no choice but to remain silent. Meanwhile, feverish work continued at a covert lab on unlocking the craft's secrets. The power source was found to be a fusion reactor that could warp gravity itself, allowing faster-than-light travel. The alien alloys were molded on an atomic level into metal stronger and lighter than any earthly counterpart. But greater revelations emerged as scientists established rudimentary communication with the survivors. Their minds could connect, transmitting ideas directly without words. The beings had come from a planet of vast oceans in a distant star system. Their culture was ancient, built on science and unity. They had shed disease, poverty, even death itself. Their mission was one of exploration and cultural exchange across the cosmos. They were saddened to find humanity still plagued by tribal divisions and war. But they saw potential in us. Their technology could solve so many ills, yet they dared not interfere in our evolution. We had to walk our own path. Weeks later, to Hank's shock, a military convoy arrived at his remote ranch. Two of the frail, alien beings disembarked along with the army general overseeing the research. One approached Hank solemnly, placing a shimmering sphere in his palms, a gift. Visions flooded Hank's mind from the object of universal compassion, scientific wonders beyond imagination. As quickly as they came, the visitors departed in their ships, returning to the stars and their mission of patient guidance. But Hank kept their gift safe, knowing it represented the hope of our shared future if humanity could overcome its divisions. He held our destiny in his weathered hands. So the greatest revelation in history vanished back into the New Mexico desert night, known only to a few. But it planted a seed of longing in Hank's heart, a yearning for the day when we might take our place within that greater cosmic community.